Greetings. It looks like we are live and welcome to New Moon in Virgo updates. 5 things that we need to know about this very powerful but very healing new moon. So we're going to talk about that. I have the astrology, numerology that's relevant, 5 things that we need to know. And we have divination cards near the end to get more messages from spirit about this time. Remember, the new moon, the exact moment of the new moon forms the template or blueprint, if you will, of the energies that are going to play out in the next 29 days in the entire lunar cycle. And if you happen to know your chart and how the new moon and the aspects are hitting your personal chart, that'll give you even more insight. So this will be general for everybody. Also, we have the wild card, that being 3i Atlas, which seems to be an energetic generator and portal that's coming ever closer to the inner solar system now, and it's causing changes on the sun already. So we might talk a little bit about that also. So if here's a video, I'm going to start in just a minute. I like to give the live people a moment to get their notifications since virtually nobody's on yet anyways live. So I guess people are still finding us. So for the 9 people that are on, hello, India, hello, Pam C. You made, it's up to 16 now. Wow. Hello, Pam C. India, Karen, Roseanne, Pandora, and Chloe of Chloe's Crystals. So that's what we have so far on the chat. And I know people will be getting their notifications and logging on. Hello, Kathleen, and welcome, everybody. So, yes, extremely energetic and powerful new moon. Snoozy, welcome. I haven't seen your name before, so welcome. What's that? B932. All right. So I've been on about 2 minutes. That means it's time to jump in. And those that come in a little bit later, they can always come back to the beginning. So I hope everybody is doing well. I do understand that the energies have been very charged. They've been very up, very down. You've probably been feeling it even more than ever. It seems like we've been since around 2010, but really in earnest since after 2012. We've been getting these constant like fluctuations and upgrades. But this is a real big one. And I think this is really the energy that's going to really cascade and create a lot of changes here on the planet by infusing higher consciousness, which tends to help to dislodge the lower consciousness. And that can cause a lot of upheaval, evil, and chaos. But it's a very healing energy that we have going on right now. So first, let me talk a little bit about numerology and astrology. And I see once again that the Wi-Fi signal is very erratic. That seems to have been a theme lately. So hopefully everybody's hearing me and seeing me okay. But the new moon, it's happening August 23rd. If you are on the West Coast, it'll be 11:07 p.m. on the 22nd. If you're in Hawaii or Guam, Marshall Islands, anywhere west of the West Coast, but east of the international date line, it's on the 22nd. But in Greenwich Mean Time, it's the 23rd. So we take that, to the numerology, and I'll get into that in a second. It's at 2:07 a.m. here in New York, here in Eastern Time, and it's 0 degrees. That's very, very significant. 0 degrees and 23 minutes in the sign Virgo, which means there's going to be 2 new moons in Virgo. The second one is going to be a solar eclipse, which is going to be, if anything, even more powerful. They seem to keep building because that's going to be right on the world axis, right about 28 to 29 degrees of Virgo. I don't know the exact date. The 2 on the 23rd. Now, 0 degrees is the void. It's spirit before manifestation. So that's very significant. When we have 0 degrees, it takes us into that source of all things and all creation, basically. So that's very significant. The moon will be squaring Uranus, and because a new moon is a moon-sun conjunction, and they're almost horizontally conjunct or almost vertically conjunct. When there's a planetary conjunction, from our perspective, they're horizontally conjunct, but they may be in different places of the elliptical plane of planetary movement. And the moon oscillates up and down. And when the moon starts to approach the elliptical, that's said to be the north or the south node, whatever sign and degrees that happens on. When we come into eclipse seasons, the new and full moon line up within a half a degree of the nodes or the elliptical. So anyway, it's just a little astrology and planetary geometry to add to that. But the moon is squaring Uranus. So Uranus is right around 0 degrees and 1 degree, I think 0 degrees of Gemini. So that squares 0 degrees of Virgo. Now it also quincunxes, which is a 150-degree angle. It's a minor aspect in astrology. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction, as well as Pluto in Aquarius. So in Aries, it quincunxes on one side, and Pluto on another side. There's too many planets to keep track in my head. Plus, you guys have probably been getting a few interesting things going on as well. Hi there. So yes, in karate, welcome. Yes, there are billions of planets. That's true. But not billions of planets traveling around our sun. Hello, Children's School of Yoga. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Truth Wave. Welcome, welcome. Oh, I can't forget your name. Oh my God. Anyhow, that's okay. So where was I? So moon and moon and squares Uranus. Very good. And that basically means that it links in with that 4 outer planet super alignment that's been going. That's very generational. That's really what's the right word? Really affecting collective consciousness, the earth fields, the morphic fields that the earth, the sun, we are all connected to basically. So this will likely enhance solar activity. Plus we have the we'll call it a comet for now. I did some remote viewing on it, and I did a whole video that I released this morning as the results of that, which came up with some pretty fascinating and interesting and frankly unexpected information with that, as well as talking about some of the more scientific aspects of that and how its gravitational field, as well as its ionic field, as it were, electromagnetic field, is really starting to come. I mean, it's approaching the inner solar system. It's going to be at its closest approach to Mars, come around October the 1st. And we're starting to see some filament ejections from the sun that are launching out right towards Mars and 3AI Atlas. So there's some effect already on the sun, which means there's effect on our energies and on our planet, basically. So that's enhancing everything and making everything stronger. So anyway, so the new moon energy itself and the planetary geometry connected to that, because each planet has its own electromagnetic pulse, its own gravitational field. It affects the sun. When we get inferior or superior conjunctions with planets, it really enhances the solar fields also. So we've got plenty of that activity going on as well. And of course, the new moon is always going to be an inferior conjunction to the sun. And the definition of that, an inferior conjunction, is when the body moves in between, like the moon will always, the new moon's always going to be in between the sun and the moon. So a new moon, a lunar conjunction, is always going to be an inferior conjunction. But with the planets, when the conjunction happens behind the sun from our perspective, that's called the superior conjunction. And that really enhances the energetic fields. Yes, I've been watching Stefan Burns and loving his content. So those of you that watch his channel recognize what I'm talking about, basically. So anyhow, moving right along. So it opens new fields of information, releases karma. So these are some of the really nice effects of this moon. Has powerful healing effects because it's right on. It's 0 degrees, so it's right on the Virgo Leo cusp. And in astrology, Leo's the sun, Virgo is Mercury, as is Gemini. These are the 2 planets that are most associated with healing and energy upgrades and stuff like that. So it's got that really powerful fleck. And again, zero is the void. It's nothing, no thing. Spirit before manifestation, that which exists before anything physical existed. And it's very, very, very interesting energy, to say the least. So it's opening up these new fields of information, releasing old karma, powerful healing effects, and will further tear down the old structures of our society that are systematically being torn down now by these higher energies and these higher frequencies that are affecting Earth, affecting consciousness, and physically affecting things. So part of the energy, this is going to be the continued increase in things like earthquakes, volcanoes, Earth events and solar events and stuff like that. So also, it's a 22 universal day, which reduces to 4. Well, you don't, and technically you don't reduce master numbers in numerology, but it's Uranus influencer guided, just like number 4. Uranus is squaring the moon. So Uranus having that square to the moon and the sun because they're conjunct, as well as having the numerology linking it with the planet Uranus, which is the great awakener of the cosmos. It's evolutionary change. It's revolution. It's also connects us with spiritual groups and connects us with similar mindsets. So it's a very powerful kind of a new earthy ascension kind of an energy. But it also is the planet of sudden release of energy and surprises. So there's going to be a lot of surprises. Probably a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about that I was forecasting for the summer. I mean, some of it's already verified, but not all of it. I have a feeling that this new moon is going to catalyze it, and timelines are very difficult to predict sometimes. I think a lot of that's going to happen in the autumn. So hang on there. It's happening. It's all changing. And this is just another energetic step along the way. And the new moons are always new beginnings, right? It's the template of the energy, the entire lunar cycle. So every new moon, it's a new cycle, a new beginning, a new portal opening. This will be the Virgo portal, the 22 portal, because it's also happening on the, at least it's part of the world on the 22nd day of the month. Most of the world is the 23rd. All right, so what else? New moon energy acts as a doorway to a whole new life globally and locally. So that's something I added to my notes, and that's maybe that's number 6 thing to know about this new moon. But anyway, moving right along. So how are you guys doing? Virgo, North Node, South Node. I'm paying attention. Yeah. And then the North Node is still in the middle to later degrees. So this new moon is actually very, very close to being an eclipse, but not quite. And then the next new moon is going to be a solar eclipse, but it's only going to be a partial because it's really not exactly going to be on the node, but a little bit off of it. By about 10 degrees or so. So it's interesting to understand that. But good points, yeah. And Pam saying lots of Virgos. Like Victor, that's your name. Thank you. Capricorn, Virgo rise. You'll definitely feel this. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff in Virgo, and I'm 1 degree Libra, so I'm close to Virgo sun sign also. All right. Anyway, so let's get into the 5 things that we need to know. The first thing that we need to know is our origins will be revealed locally and globally. So where did we come from? Why are we here? These are questions that are likely to come up more, as well as, I wouldn't say answers will come, because for our human intellect, I don't know if we can even comprehend whatever the answer that would be, to be quite honest. But it's going to be revealed energetically, and that could be the origins of the cosmos or the universe, the origins of us. You will be aided in looking deeper within to find solutions to problems and discover that and discovering the mysteries of your own soul and your own creation, basically. So it's a really good time for deep meditation, going within, because the universe is more likely to open up secrets to you than other times, basically. So that's just part of the energy. Hello, Millie, and I see a couple of people are jumping on late. So hello to the people that just came on. So let me go back to my notes. if I can read my notes. It's always a problem. My handwriting is like scribbling. Looking deeper within to find solutions to problems, discover the mystery of your own soul. As the scrutinizing Virgo new moon, Virgo's a sign of scrutinizing. It's very exacting. It's very intelligent. It's very grounded. So the scrutinizing Virgo new moon is at 0 degrees, which is the void, and opens up the unknown, unseen. And the 3-eye atlas, I when I did the remote viewing, a little bit of a spoiler alert if you haven't watched the video yet with the remote viewing. When I came, I really felt life. I really felt it was some form of life. Then you could argue, well, everything is a lie, right? Everything has energy, everything has a frequency and a pulse. But I really got that impression. So the unseen aspects like that comet slash interstellar space traveler could be downloading more information on our origin, because it's probably comes from very deep in the galaxy. The way it's orbiting, scientists believe, it's not of the solar system. It's probably very old, probably older than the solar system itself. And whether it's a living being or just a space rock, it still gathers information. Everything absorbs and gathers information and contains information. So it's really about our origins, our roots, and you might discover more about your own origins and roots in this energy. So if you go into deep meditation or do regressions, you may start to understand more about past lives, or past lives are parallel lives, because all time happens simultaneously, but other lifetimes, basically. I see we're talking a lot about Virgos. Okay, I'm just peeking at your comments. Thank you, everyone, for keeping the conversation going. And this will help you to uncover patterns and currents, recurring problems in your life. So, we're 95% subconscious. We have recurring patterns, and so we start to break those patterns by going within, discovering their origins and roots. This is the perfect new moon, because it's scrutinizing, it's 0 degrees, it's the void, to really understand what is the source of these patterns. Some people, no matter what they do, they can't get into good health, or they can't get a good relationship, or can't get financially ahead. It's not that they can't do it, it's just that there's a subconscious obstruction that's preventing that. So this is going to be very good to go deeper. So I encourage you to go deeper into your meditation, your heart brain coherence work, and all that stuff that we talk on the channel, because answers are ready to be revealed. And I'm going to show you a little process at the end that's going to help you to do that, basically. And by the way, tomorrow night at 8 p.m., Heather and I are going to do the transmission. So I'm not going to do an activation tonight for this live stream. We're going to do that tomorrow. Heather will do her healing work. I'll work with the master teacher to help you to really step more into that void energy and to more into deeper healing, because it's a very healing process. And again, we are able to get the insight to understand what's behind the disease. Not necessarily, that you have a chromosome off, or you have a pathogen or whatever. No, like what's behind that, why you have that. That's what this is good for, basically. So that's number one. Number two, second thing that we need to know, a time to kill. And before you're like, what the heck do you mean a time to kill? Let me explain. The energy aids in all deaths. It's 0 degrees, the void, the darkness, the nothing. Not physical death, though. Not physical death, of course, but the death of all negative patterns and anything in your life that is negative, that's blocky or whatever. Now, if you're thinking that number two is kind of a continuation of number one thing that we need to know, you're absolutely correct. And usually all 5 things that we need to know have some link, because it's all connected to the power of the same new moon, basically. So old patterns, a lot of it starts from childhood. And then if you go deeper, it can be past life stuff. It's a real like gateway to the soul, this 0 degrees. And when we reincarnate, say, like we come into a new body, we're souls. To me, to get my working definition, because people define the spiritual terms a little bit differently. To me, the soul is the vehicle that our spirit travels in from lifetime to lifetime, dimension to dimension, and all of that stuff. And when we come into a new body, we have a soul pattern that we overlay onto the new body. And within that resonance pattern of the soul contains a lot of the karmic stuff, a lot of the experiences in other lifetimes. And then we overlay that into the new body, and then we have a lot of the karmic challenges, whatever that may be. Now, karma is not to punish. It can be retribution, but way more often than not, it's just the patterns of repeating energy. Like, I had a client the other day just thinking she's like a horrible person because she wound up in like 3 abusive relationships in a row. And you said, I must have been a horrible abuser in my other lifetime. And I looked at her and said, no, it's not that. It's just that you were abused in other lifetimes and you're carrying that soul resonance into this lifetime. So you need to make different decisions in this lifetime to end that cycle, so you won't have to carry that into your next lifetime or even further into this lifetime. So hopefully that makes sense. I think it does. You all are smart. So anyhow, anything in your life, this is also the power of alchemy at 0 degrees Virgo with outer planet alignments. For if you let the old die, the new and the better will be reborn. So it's a time to kill all that old crap. So that's the second thing that we need to know. The third thing that we need to know is it's a time to heal. We talked a little bit about that. So anybody that knows like old 60s music, the Birds, the song Turn, 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 you see what I'm doing here, right? A time to heal, a time to kill. Or I think I have that verse. A time to kill, a time to heal. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. Anyway, so right on the Leo, Virgo cusp, you have the 2 primary healing planets assist you in healing, deep healing, as the 0 degrees, the void energy implies. It helps you penetrate deeper into the subconscious for disease origins. With outer planet involvement, you gain insights into karmic reasons beyond the illness and disease. This can be taken on a global level as well. So I'm talking about this on a personal level, but this is affecting the collective fields, collective consciousness. So us as a collective have this unique opportunity. Well, I don't know how unique it is, but this special opportunity, I'll put it that way, to really understand what's the origins. We've been a primitive warring species for many thousands of years. And the way, it's set up, our survival instincts as humans, the body's survival instinct will always gravitate towards the familiar because the subconscious believes that's what is needed to survive. So if the familiar is strife, war, battles, and stuff like that, we're subconsciously recreating that, and that's happening on a global level, basically. But there's ascension happening, the vibrations changing, and we're changing, but because there's resistance to change, because again the subconscious believes that's unsurvivable. That's why a lot of people hate change, and that's why it's so hard to adopt a new habit, because it's like if you try to say you haven't meditated for years, you just start meditating. It's almost like your subconscious kind of like, what are you doing? This is uncomfortable. I don't like this because I don't know what this is. This might kill us. I'm going to try to stop you, right? So how often does that happen? It's like you sit down to meditate. The first minute is great. Then the monkey mind kicks in. The anxiety kicks in. Or you fall asleep, or you manifest distractions outside of yourself. So that's all very relevant in this energy. So if we can go to the void, that place of no thing, if we can get beyond the ego, beyond our humanness, then we can invoke change from the inside out. And then the subconscious will have a much easier time handling it. It'll still resist, of course, but it'll have a much easier time. So anyway, what else did we write here? I think that was it. But I just wanted to mention, this is also a global process. So it's relevant in our lives personally, but it's also relative in the a crack between the moon. I'm just looking at your comment. Yeah, we've been, Karen, we've been going through a lot of these long void of course moons just because the planets are really bunched up a lot in one sector of the zodiac. That's why we have a 6-planet alignment before dawn right now. So a void of course moon, for those that don't know, is once the moon in a given sign passes its last major aspect, it's said to lose its identity somewhat, and it goes void of course until it hits the next sign. Usually void of courses are an hour, longer ones are usually several hours, but we've been having 24, 36-hour void of course moons, and it kind of acts like a mini Mercury retrograde. It's great for meditation and going within, so it has its benefits, but it's not always the best time to be, on top of things intellectually and to plan things. And we often feel a little bit off, a little bit dreamy when that happens. So that's another void, right? We come off a long void of course moon until the moon hits the sign of Virgo, and it goes directly new, within an hour of when it hits the sign. So virtually it's happening simultaneously. So anyway, so deep healing, double down on the healing. Now this can also means that your ability as an energy healer, healer through like words and ideas, counselor, whatever the modality is, it's strengthening your abilities to heal, and you're drawing directly from that source of everything, because from nothingness comes everything. I would say from the depth of the darkness, there's an explosion and a big bang, but the what's it called? The James Webb Telescope is debunking that theory. So I'll have to come up with a new one. But still, there's still like from the darkness emerges the light, and the universe is born. I feel like Spirit's talking to me and saying, it's not that the universe kind of came about more incrementally. It wasn't like boom, just like that. All of a sudden there's a universe. There were steps along the way, basically. And I feel like they're saying it's the Big Bang Theory. It's just got to be modified. It's not that it's completely wrong. It's just somewhat inaccurate in its conception. But anyway, I'm digressing. Let me go to point number 4, because I'm digressing a little bit. Number 4 is manifestation. Firstly, all new moons are good for manifestation because it's new beginning. So it's a new cycle that's beginning from the new moon, which is at early Saturday morning here, just after midnight. For about 72 hours or so, you're in that new moon energy where a new cycle is beginning. So it's a good time to set intentions, basically. Like, what do you want to create in this new energy? Because it's Virgo, it can be very grounding, so it can be good for things like abundance and stuff like that. But it's also, again, very healing, and it really taps into the mind, because Mercury is of the mind. Now, the Gemini Mercury is more about like quickness and channeling and connecting to the air and stuff like that. The Virgo is more about memories, more about sitting down, being able to crunch numbers or get ideas and stuff like that. So it's a different energy or different side of Mercury, but it's still pretty darn cool. So anyway, 0 degrees assists in working with the void or hidden to uncover huge power sources. So that helps to make this an even more powerful new moon for manifestation and bringing new things into your life. All new moons are new beginnings. In this lunar cycle, tap into the deepest reservoirs of your own power, and that's going to really help a lot also. That's basically it. So I like to light candles, put my intention in the candles. When I light it, that's like the active spirit activating my manifestation and sending it off to spirit. You can use tobacco like the Native Americans, and if you like those traditions, you really feel, again, Native Americans. From Native Americans to Jesus or Yeshua to the law of attraction gurus are telling us the same thing. Like the Native Americans that I work with, and I heard a very similar story from Greg Braden, which was eerie, that it was almost exact. I had worked briefly with an elder when I was in Oklahoma, just going back to 1982, 83. And we were hiking. His name was Bob Fields, but I don't know what his native name was. We went by Bob Fields, and my friend Bob Vetter. So it's 2 Bobs and an Adam. We're hiking in the woods, and we stopped somewhere, and he's just like, when we pray for rain, it rains. And it's like, yeah, and I tell him, I believe you. I mean, I might be skewing the story a little bit because it's many, many moons ago. But he's like, you want to know why? I was like, yes. I said, because we don't ask the creator to make it rain, because that just reinforces the lack of rain. Instead, we feel grateful for the rain that's already falling. We feel it on our skin. We feel it on the earth. We feel it nourishing the crops. And we do this, and it always rains. So in the Bible, what is it? The book of Mark, I think it's 11, chapter 11, verse 24, where he says, and I'm paraphrasing, when you ask for something in prayer, feel like you already have it and it shall be yours. So again, it's the same thing that if you, it's not like when you pray to say, please God, make this happen. Or if you do your law of attraction and call your guide, say, please make this happen. But rather you feel grateful that it's already happened, because timelines are fluid. And if you can get very present and connect with the void, which is one of the advantages of this new moon energy, which is the source of all things, it's resonant with the quantum field. To me, I feel like the quantum field is that interplay of the void and the light. Basically, it's sort of that's just my own way of seeing it. I may be right or wrong, I don't know. But anyway, if you really connect with that void energy and you're really taking that intention like it's already real, well, guess what? All timelines are happening. All possibilities already exist. And if you keep doing it through the power of repetition, you start to change your frequencies. And then the universe, which is a perfect mirror to us, it reflects back those intentions, and then things start to happen in your life. You can really, really use that. So anyway, so dig into the deepest reservoirs of your own power. That's the advice here. And yes, thank you, Karen, for that. Good evening, Yvonne. Welcome. Digression. Sometimes they are the best part, and I digress a lot. If you're new, yeah, I do that a lot. So number 5 is think outside the box. We need to do this. We always need to do this. It's really important now. You guys that come to my live streams regularly, you know the story. If not, there was something called the Great Depression here, in the U.S. and I guess around the world. People were losing their houses, losing their shirt. But there were 2 brothers that sold wine by a roadside. They got the idea, set up a little stand, we'll sell wine. They were the Gallo brothers. They became millionaires in the 1930s when everybody was losing their shirt. Why? Because they assessed what was needed. That must have been like right after the Prohibition, I guess. I don't think they were selling wine during Prohibition somehow. I don't think that would have happened. That must have been like later on in the Great Depression. But anyway, so I first heard that on Jake Ducey's channel. That's the first time I heard that story, and I looked it up and verified it. But then anyway, the point being is that we have to get out of that conventional thinking. We're all programmed. When you go into the void, you're not the programming anymore. You're the source of everything. And then great strokes of genius can come out of that. And the idea is to assess the playing field. That's the art of the warrior. It's the art of strategy. Assess the playing field. Okay, people are not doing well financially. I just had a conversation with somebody that answered one of my videos. Commented on my videos. It was a short. I do 1 minute shorts almost virtually every day. A tarot reading, and the theme of that one was the worst is over. And he answered, he's like, oh, really? Because I work full time, yet I'm living in my car, and they're rounding up the homeless people, blah blah blah, and everything. And I just basically I send him a couple of messages and try to encourage him that you have to think outside the box now. And it's just a shame that people are working 40, 50, 60 hours and can't afford a place to live. So my heart really went out to him, so I gave him a few tips, and I think it's going to help him. So anyhow, so we really have to get in the habit of doing that. Now Uranus is the planet for that. Remember, 22 degrees, and that's a master number. 22 is the master builder, and the master creator. That's because it's the aligns to 4. It also is a connection to soulmates too. So that could be like like 5B or 6. This is a time where you may be attracting a soulmate. It could be a romantic soulmate. It could be a different kind of soulmate because it's a master number. The master numbers connect more with higher consciousness rather than mundane human consciousness. And two, so two is about relationship, right? The number 4 is about the foundations. It's about the earth, but it's also about thinking outside the box because it's Uranus. So we have all this stuff going on. So this is really a good time. What do you want to build in your life that's different? That's not everybody's doing. This is a good time to get those ideas and to start doing it, basically. So back to think outside the box. Work more with spirit, go deeper. This will raise global consciousness, and more are going to have awakening. So that 22 energy with this, comet slash craft that's coming into her inner solar system very soon. 3I Atlas, which is really just an energetic portal from what I gleaned when I did the remote viewing. That it's got its own power source. It's got its own energy. It's got consciousness. It could still be a space rock, but it's got all that going. And apparently it has luminosity also. And they're discovering that as well. Apparently, I don't know for sure, but I got a big power source with that. And it's really uploading and downloading information in the collective field. So it's, as it travels through the cosmos, it's learning more and absorbing information because everything's expanding in an expanding universe. But it's also downloading information to us about our own origins and about who we are and our own potential and our own spiritual potential. So that really resonates very well with this 22 0-degree new moon. It's going to be very active. It's also going to create a lot of earth shifts and earth changes. So watch, if you're in those, near those subduction zones or volcano zones, you just want to not be scared or anything, but just know that that things are more active, and you just have to know what your emergency plan would be. I always say plan for that emergency that will never happen. And I found in my life, the more planned I am, the more prepared I am, the least likely to happen. It's like when I get caught, it's with my pants down, virtually, not literally. Well, could be literally too, but anyway. So work more with spirit, go deeper. This will raise global consciousness. More will have awakening. So again, Uranus is the great awakener. 22 is a master number. The void is also about receiving from the origins of everything that which all life and all reality came from. But the main thing is really getting the habit of thinking outside the box. And what you do is you just get out of your own way and ask spirit to work with you to give you those ideas and connect with that. And that's how we get outside the box. But it's also good to do your homework. What are the trends in society? What's up and coming that's going to be big in 2 years? Especially if you want to start a business or do investments or whatever. People like way back, I think it's around 2010. I had a client that was really excited about Bitcoin. She's like, it's going to hit in January. It's going to make money. And I told her, no, that's not what I'm getting. But don't sell it because later on it's going to hit. So if she kept it for another, whatever, 7, 8, 10 years, she did very, very well with that investment. And so, people are getting more spiritual. People are getting more awake. People are learning more about different things. If you really, tap into the society, what's going on, again, it's like you're assessing the playing field and applying strategy. Start doing something now that's going to be huge in 2 years, and you'll be right in place when that wave hits, rather than chasing the wave indefinitely, which a lot of people do. Once something hits, it's usually too late to get in. I'll put it that way. So you want to be able to assess and be able to get the downloads from spirit. So anyhow, now also the quincunxes, I didn't talk a lot about that. That tends to be more like karmic in nature, more like broad-based energies. It's kind of like the the 5-pointed star, the pentacle in a way. Oh, Well, it's 150 degrees apart. Quincunxing planets don't form pentacle because there's only 360 degrees in a circle. So 150 degrees times 5 does not add up to 360, but it has that resonance of 5 signs off. That Quin is about the number 5, right? Like if you know anybody named Quentin or Quintessa, they're probably the 5th child of that family and got that name because of that. So anyway, so Moon and Sun, squaring Uranus creates a revolutionary energy, changes our group affiliations, changes relationships with ourselves, and this quincunx really brings kind of that higher resonance in with these other, Sun, Moon conjuncting and quincunxing these other outer planets, Saturn and Neptune in Aries and and Pluto in Aquarius, basically. So here's a couple of exercises. Yeah, I wish I got in on Bitcoin, Karen. I didn't. I didn't have investment money. I did manage to get a kilo of silver. It was a gift actually, but I did manage to get that, which is appreciated about $400 since I bought it. It's going to keep going up, so that's kind of cool. Anyways, so first thing is grounding. It's an Earth Virgo moon. There's so much energy that's happening. Every day is a different experience because the energies are fluctuating that much. We have 3i Atlas. We have all the solar activity, all the spiritual upgrades that are happening. We have to be grounded. Those lower chakras need to be strong and firm. Without the lower chakras, the upper chakras are just going to really, it's not good to just work with the upper chakras. That's why in most yogic traditions, you start with the root up. You don't start with the upper chakras. So the lower triangle in the system of yoga I practice, very important. It's the root, sacral, and the solar plexus. Those are the more physical chakras. The root is the earth and the physical body. The sacral is more the emotional body, and the solar plexus more the mental body. So these are the three more human. Then the heart is the great integrator of spirit and physicality. So that's the central chakra. So once you get your lower triangle strong, your heart-brain coherence is going to be much, much more powerful. And that's the gateway to opening the upper chakras also. So do tree meditations, rooting, barefoot, all that stuff. You want to get very, very grounded. That way you'll be able to benefit more from these downloads from the universe rather than being overwhelmed by it. You'll be able to handle these higher energies. And if you're very empathic, you'll be able to handle the negativity of the world without having to numb yourself or avoid it altogether, basically. So being grounded and rooted, that strengthens your frame, which makes you more able to deal with things. So we have to have strong frames, and we have to be true to ourselves, basically, not be easily swayed by other people's energies, their opinions, or stuff like that. I mean, I came into the world as a full-on shapeshifter. I as a child, I'd hang out with a friend, and by the end of the day, I became that friend, basically. So I had that super empath, which shows that I wasn't a very grounded child also. So I had to learn, how to, to accept the fact that we're always going to influence everybody, no matter what. Other people are going to influence us. We're going to influence them. No problem with that. But we want to be able to stay strong in our own frame. And that way, when there's a lot of negativity, we can still be sensitive, which we need to be, without it affecting us, making us ill, and causing problems, basically. So these are very important. Do more grounding. And as you do that, just see your auric fields getting very strong, very, very vibrant, and very, very much containing your energy, so that way you'll have an easier time dealing with negative people, and speaking your mind. I avoided speaking up for so long, because I know speaking up meant that I have to feel the other person's negative or disapproving energy. And at the time, I thought it was easy to avoid. Of course, I didn't realize that anything that you suppress is a disease waiting to manifest later on in your life. So later on in my life, I've been purging a lot of disease. I mean, I will say I'm almost 67, and I'm healthier than I've been ever, other than a few little minor old age issues. But anyway, that's beside the point. So that's that. And of course, 3i Atlas is creating bigger energy fluctuations and all the solar flaring and solar activity. It affects the earth fields, it affects our conscious field, it affects us. So the other thing, and the void technique, it's kind of a presence exercise. So we always want to practice presence. Whenever you think about it, stop your thoughts, feel your body, the space around your body, and go about your business. Not thinking, being the observer, basically. So taking meditation out of the yoga mat and into the real world, basically. So when I get present, I want to get super present, especially when I'm meditating. Yeah, I can go deeper. But even when I'm out and about, if you're new to it, you may want to develop the technique before you drive or whatever. But twice I've avoided deer accidents just by practicing presence behind the wheel and actually seeing the deer in my mind a split second before the deer ran in front of the vehicle. So I slowed down before the impact, basically. But anyway, the point being is, so we want to get super present. We're not names, bodies. We're not our physical identities. We're manifestation of God, spirit, or source. We're energy and frequency. So I want to do that. So meditation, practice being very present. Now to warm up to doing this technique, be aware of the sounds, and then find the spaces of silence within the sounds. That's finding the void in the sound currents. Everything that's energy is in waves because it's circular motions that propagate. That's how energy moves. So like an ocean wave, it's not like water's transporting. It's like the energy wave hits the water, makes a circle, creates the wave, and then it comes back, and then it propagates those waves further and further. So that's how sound works. So within sound, because it's a wave, there's always a trough. There are always spaces of silence within the sound. So if I slowed my voice down maybe several thousand times, it would sound right. So you get the idea. So that's the first thing. Find those spaces of silence within the sound. You have to set the intention, let it happen. As soon as you try to do, you'll be out of presence and it won't work. So you set the intention. Setting an intention is just basically a very gentle prompt from your higher self or from your personal self while you're still in presence. Basically, it takes a little practice. So the next thing, if you want to get to the next step, is find the spaces of darkness within the light. So within the sound, there's always an interval of silence. Within the light, there's always an interval of darkness. Light is energy waves, but it's also photons. So it's almost like mass without mass. That's what photons are. But it's really like waves of energy again. So, and then once you get a little better than that, when you're meditating, you want to find the space of non-existence within the existence. And that's when it gets really fun. And it oscillates. It's like many times every second you go in and out of the void. Basically, it's happening naturally all the time anyway. So you become more aware and conscious of it. So if you do this, it's really going to help in so many areas. Everything that I was saying before, like discovering your origins, healing, manifestation, all that good stuff. So anyhow, let's do a few divination cards. And I have the Starseed Oracle right in front of me. So yeah, good weekend to focus on healing. Yes, Doreen. Yes. All right, so hopefully I missed a part of the conversation, but hopefully everything's well on your end, Felicia. All right. Let me clear my mind, ask my guides to step in. Here we go. And what I got here is earthed. You talk about grounding, right, or earthing. And the little caption says, learn how to be human in the world, but not of it. Or learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. So that's great. That's what we're here for. We're learning how to be human, but not. We are not human. We're starseed. We're energy. We're frequency, right? Having human experiences because we're here to master the human experience. We do that, quoting Dolores Cannon, by mastering energy. So that's what we're here for, to master energy. Part of energy, mastering energy, is learning how to manifest, because everything is energy. By shifting your energy, that changes the energy around you and outside of yourself, because nothing really is outside of yourself. So this is just, more or less adding or putting a different spin on what I was saying earlier, right? So learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. And you might get a little bit more information. Let me move this into my best lighting here, so you can see, what's a little bit more. You might get your own messages through the beautiful artwork. What's the artist's name? I can't remember. Oh, well, sorry about that. I know it's a Rebecca Campbell deck, but here we go. No, it's not on this part. All right. Maybe it's in the book. Danielle Noel, the artwork. Danielle Noel. Rebecca Campbell did the deck. All right, very good. Okay, Black Hawk is down. All right. Interesting. I saw, it looked like a black heron on my creek when I was driving over it today. Well, not my creek, but the creek right by my house. Yeah, it's probably like the light. It's probably a blue heron, and the lighting made it look black to me. But it was just interesting. It's like, it looks like a black heron. All right. So anyway, they presented another card to me, so I will read it. Called Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. So through connecting to the void and doing these techniques, you're going to start to uncover more of your soul gifts, because you're uncovering more of your soul resonance. Some of your gifts, some of you know some of you know more, but there's something new. That's what Spirit's saying through this card, why it just not flung out of me, but it was literally like poking at me. I'll put it that way, energetically. So this is very conducive to that. So again, soul gifts and training. It's time to step up. Very good. So there's that. All right. So tomorrow, people that they got on later, we're gonna do the transmissions. We'll do some healing work for the earth. Also, I work with the master teachers. They're interdimensional beings of light and energy. That as I work, they're able to work through with my energy fields as I lead the process. That they're able to access your energies and work with your higher self for your energetic upgrades and to raise your frequencies or velocity of energy, as the case may be. So it's very, very powerful work, and we'll be focusing on things that we're talking about tonight. Then Heather has her guys that work with the healing. So it's very, very healing, powerful energy. And this morning, 11 a.m., I released a video about the scientific relevance, as well as information you got from remote viewing about Three-Eye Atlas, the third interstellar space anomaly that's interacting with our solar system right now. I mean, there's been a lot more, but they haven't been able to find these things until recently. So yeah, you may be a little bit surprised by the information that comes up. So I had the medicine cards. Let me do a quick pull of that. Oh, I have a lot of cards today, don't I? Let me do Moonology, because it's a new moon. Let me do a quick message through Moonology cards. Clear my mind. Right to this card. And this card says, first quarter moon, your commitment is being tested. So I feel like Spirit is saying, you think that you may be committed to, Uranus energy can be chaotic as these higher frequencies are affecting the earth. It causes chaos at first because the old has to fall, and from chaos comes greater order later on. So don't be surprised if the order of your world is getting really tested right now, and people are getting very, very testy and difficult. I know that's been going on for a while. So your commitment to like either a person, a job, yourself, whatever it is, will get tested, but I know you're going to pass the test. And getting grounded and working with these meditation, the void technique is going to help to see you through that. So anyway, I know we're not in the first quarter moon, but a lot may happen between the new moon, which is set, right, just after midnight here. I think 1 something a.m. Eastern time on Saturday. That 7 or 8 days, this is going to be very relevant. That commitments to different things may be tested. So trust your heart, follow your own guidance with that. Some commitments may be outdated in your life, where other ones are still relevant. So only you and your higher self would know the difference between that. Yeah, these eclipses, and like I was saying, even though this isn't technically eclipse, it's really, really darn close to being an eclipse. And one of the things with the eclipse is not only on the horizontal, but on the vertical plane, the sun and the moon, the two strongest gravitational points, so forms this very powerful vector that's strongest during the eclipses, whether it's the new or full moon eclipse. So and it's really right there. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it might as well be an eclipse right now, even though it's probably just 2 or 3 degrees off of an eclipse. Well, thanks for I'll flash. On these I have so much information. I don't flash in many comments, but that's an interesting take. Very good. I like that. I have a channel. It's actually for sale. An activation with the master teachers, which is the royalty DNA activation. I have to do that again because when I started doing that, that's when videos finally started to reach the algorithm and my channel started to grow. So so it activates that DNA that we all have that's connected to royalty and abundance and everything. There's always information on that. I think in September we're going to have our website finally, but there's going to be some pre-sales of different courses and meditations that I have. And then it'll be on a website sometime in September. Yeah, stellium of 6 planets in Virgo. I have a lot in Virgo too. My sun is 1 degree Libra. So this is the sacred geometry activation card. We got Gaia. They agree that the Earth is really important now. Earth sign, Earth energy. And when it says the frequency of Gaia reminds us that we are infinitely connected to one another as we are to our great mother and to the universe that birthed us all. So the universe birthed the earth birthed us. Remind me years ago when I had a place where I had like a private little creek, which was beautiful. I was sitting out on my favorite rock, and then Spirit comes and said, when you were sitting there meditating, you shed hundreds of skin cells. I was like, yeah, okay. Said, and those skin cells, they go into the water, they go into the earth. Like, that's good. And then the plants feed on them, and then they go into the plants. And guess what? Then you eat the plants, and they're just a kind of a funny way of talking about the cycles of life that we're of the earth. Our cells change. In 7 years, we'll have all new cells than we do now, about 7 years or so. At least that's my understanding through science. So we're always being nurtured by the earth physically, energetically, on all levels. And then the earth was birthed from the cosmos. So again, honoring Mother Earth. This is a good full new moon, a good lunar cycle to really work with the earth, maybe do things to help the ecology, cleaning things up, being more active, stuff like that. But a really good time to really love, honor, hugging the trees. All that stuff is very, very relevant. Last but not least, let us find our at least one of our totem animals based on North American wildlife, although there's a few South American animals in the medicine cards. So no, we're not going to get lions or giraffes in the medicine cards. Because it's Native American. Oh, 828. So you're pretty early in Virgo. So you're Felicia, you're really getting a stronger hit than most from this energy. I feel like somebody, like a male voice came in, like a father, and they'd say, "Good, that'll ground you." Somebody who's a wise ass that's with you. Armadillo. Wow, armadillos have thick plate and armor, but they're very sensitive. I think they're more in the south part of the medicine wheel, which represents innocence and trust. But because I don't know this, I'm going to peek in the book. I mean, for those of you that are down south, you see armadillos a lot, right? I just need my hands for a second. Both of them. The armadillo boundary. Well, that makes sense. Boundaries, right? That's perfect. Yeah. Armadillo, armor all my boundaries, teach me my shields, reflect all the hurt, so I will not yield. So this again, strengthening your frame, right? Maybe doing things consciously to build your boundaries. There's another exercise that a lot of people do. It's called spirit mirrors. And the way that I do it, I get very relaxed and present. I visualize silver, shiny silver light all around me. And then in my mind, I flip that almost like a mirror pointing outwards. So I kind of flip the silver light and create this mirror around me that deflects any negative or difficult energy away from me, but allows all positive, loving energy through. So you could do another way. You could visualize being an armadillo when you have to go into a situation where you're going to be under negative scrutiny or difficult people or whatever. Just make like an armadillo, and keep those shields up, or do your spirit mirrors. Working with the animals is an amazing way. It's an amazing exercise in making you powerful. They're also showing me the tiger, so the tiger is relevant too. And like I said, I wasn't going to pull a tiger, but it's an image of a tiger. I mean, they have stripes, so it's a yin yang kind of an energy with tigers. But all the big cats are about strength. Also, they can be about boundaries. It could be about territory, strength, all that kind of stuff. There's something else that came and went in my mind. I wish I could talk faster, then I wouldn't lose these thoughts. But anyhow, I think that's it, because that thought's not coming back. But yeah, boundaries are definitely hugely important. Yeah, always, but now. Another 28. Thanks for noticing that. So we're getting the number 28, and you're 28. So spiritually speaking to you, Felicia, right? And the tiger's one of your spirit animals. Yeah. Something else about the tiger, and the thought left my mind, and it's going to bother me now. Yes, I was doing readings all afternoon, so my brain's a little fuzzy, but all right. I think we get the idea. Or is it about armadillo? Yeah, they're also very grounded. They're very low to the earth, but it's really about that shielding. Oh, yeah, it was a simple thought. Okay, it came back to me. And I'm very careful. This is just me. You can do it your own way, because some teachers will say, use your mirrors and deflect the energy back to the person that's sending you. And honestly, I don't care about the other person. I mean, I do, but I care about me and not being affected. I figure spirit will take care of it, right? If they need to deflect it back to them for their learning, well, spirit will do that. I just set the intention to deflect it away from me, basically. Mirrors are mirrors; they reflect back. So anyway, that was the thought that I was trying to create. Oh, they create rain. Interesting. So we were talking about that earlier. I'd have to go into Ted Andrews' work or Steve Farmer, to look up tigers and to get that. But tigers are one of the biggest, strongest cats. All cats are about pride. They are striped like zebras. I mean, I know they're not black and white, so to me that has like a yin yang or a balance effect. And in my mind, I just see the tigers just kind of patrolling their territory. So it's part of it is protecting what's yours, your sacred space. So if you invoke the tiger, this is what what's downloading now. That helps you to protect your sacred space. Now I know what I really wanted to talk about: the power of animals. Like people, we're out of the Mercury retrograde now, but we're not quite out of the shadow yet. You'll say, "Oh, don't sign contracts, don't travel, don't do this." I mean, you might as well just hole up in your room for 3 weeks and meditate the whole time. If you listen to some people out there. But what if you have to sign a contract? What if you need to move and you've got to sign it? Sign a contract when Mercury's retrograde. Well, invoke the salmon. What do salmon do? They swim upstream. Like in other words, if I'm needing to do things that involve like contacts, involve communication, involve technology, signing things, I'm kind of swimming against the astrological current because Mercury really wants me to slow down and go more within during those retrograde phases. So I'll call on the salmon. That's the one that swims upstream, and nothing stops the salmon from getting to her breeding grounds, basically. That's what I wanted to say. All right, that's the thought that I lost that came back. Thank you, Spirit. So work with the ways of animals, and that's what I have for you. So tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, not 7, because I work. Friday's my late day. So at 8 o'clock. I'm sorry that you're hurt, Felicia, but I know that you're using the energies wisely, and you'll be unhurt before too long. Maybe your tiger's going to help you to heal, and give you the boundaries and make it rain. So that's also an expression. Let go out there and make it rain. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful for you guys. If you're new to the Medium channel, we've got lots of videos on different spiritual topics. I'm a professional medium, so my byline is for the channel is the spirituality behind the message. So I share with you things that help me on my path as a professional medium. To me, it's a 24/7 spiritual path. My profession, talking to the dead, is just really the tip of the iceberg for me. So I go very deep into all sorts of spiritual practices. So we try to share that. We try to share current events. So I do predictive videos, every month, and sometimes in between months, I'll do predictions for the coming month. Sometimes it trends into politics just so that we can be aware of it. But it's more about our evolution and our growth and understanding, like what we're creating the world outside of ourselves, so we can have a heads up, and we do lots of activations and spiritual things also. So if you enjoy this and you enjoyed tonight, feel free to subscribe, and then more of our videos will come up on your homepage. If you like it, share it, comment. That might help get this information out to more people. If you feel that this is content worthy of sharing, always be authentic. That's the idea of holding a strong frame, right, and building your frames. Like, don't do something just because I'm saying to do it. Just if you feel it, do it, right? So that's the message. Right, thank you, Felicia. Thank you, everybody. Beautiful, beautiful work. And, you guys are the ones that inspire me. So the higher your frequency is, the better my videos are. It really does work that way, because we are a community, and we share the space right now. So thank you again. And thank you for being part of this cosmic dance. There's time to kill. There's a time to heal, right? There's a time, to elevate. There's a time to go back into the earth, understanding the rhythms and flows of vibration energy that can be seen through nature and can be seen through our own bodies and our own thought processes. Learning about that, dancing with that. The more that we can learn how to dance physically too, but metaphorically speaking, the better off we're going to be. The more we're going to be connected to spirit, and the healthier we'll be. If you don't stop dancing, you'll never grow old. That's one of my secrets. So that's what I have for you today. Thanks for being here. I love you all, and we will see you next time tomorrow at 8 Eastern time for powerful transmission work for the new moon. Love you.